Welcome to What the Hey, Seasonal Allergies, Causes, Symptoms, and What You Can Do About Them, presented by Aloe Health. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jen Borley. I am a registered nurse and co-owner of Aloe Health in Appleton, Wisconsin. I am a digestive health professional through the Food Enzyme Institute located in Madison, Wisconsin. I am also a wife, a mom, of course, a business owner. I have 25 plus years of experience in healthcare. I focus on healthy function and supporting my clients with individualized support. So as the weather warms up, many people start to experience seasonal allergy symptoms. What are allergies? An allergy is a reaction by your immune system to something that does not bother most other people. Well, I beg to differ. I think pollen, mold, they tend to affect a lot of people, and you may not even know it's affecting you. But when you start to experience allergy symptoms, that's when you pay attention. Symptoms like sneezing, itching, watery red eyes, runny nose, headache, sinus pressure, cough, throat irritation. The symptoms can go on and on. And let's face it, within the past year, you don't want to be that person that is sneezing or coughing around anybody because you're going to get the side eye. Things that trigger allergies: pollen from trees, flowers, you name it, seems to be floating around lately in the air. And you might even notice some of that cottonwood floating through the air most recently. Mold, now that can be visible or it can be hiding behind walls, in basements, in places that you don't even think to look. Dust mites. We don't really like to think about dust mites, but they exist. They are in our houses, they are in our beds, and some people have allergic reactions to them. And of course, pet dander. You may notice that your pet has little white specks on them, not lice or crawling bugs, of course, but dander that's created from their own skin. But they also carry in allergens from outside, like pollen and different things that can cause allergy symptoms in humans. Why does this happen? Why do symptoms happen with allergies? Well, it's your body defending itself. Your body keeps foreign invaders out. So when things like pollen and little mold particles enter your system through your eyes, your nose, or your mouth, your immune system reacts with defenses to prevent entrance into the circulation. So when you have those symptoms, it's not a bad thing. It's actually your body trying to protect itself. So the tears wash pollen out, increased nasal secretions help wash out or flood out the invaders. And if that washing out is effective, no further reaction happens. But let's say that there's either, not enough of those secretions to wash those allergens out, or there's just too much or continued exposure, then your immune system increases its response. Or you can have a continued or exaggerated response if there are other stressors on the body. If the initial response is not enough, if that hasn't been flushed out and your body is mounting in more of a response, more of an immune response, it goes beyond watery eyes. You can have increased swelling. You can have airway restriction, which is scary and actually dangerous. You can have increased pressure in your sinuses. And histamine is activated. Now, some of us have an issue with histamine in general where we can't clear it, or you have a histamine intolerance. That is a presentation for another day, or give us a call. We'll talk about if that's something you need to address. What are we going to do about it, right? So in general, if you have an added stress on your body, you want to either avoid it or remove it whenever possible. So when the pollen counts are higher, it might be a good idea for you to stay inside with the windows closed. You may even want to get an air purifier. If you've been outside in pollen or carrying in some things, you want to change your clothing upon coming in the house. Maybe even go so far as to take a shower, wash your hair, make sure to get rid of whatever is causing you to have an allergy response. Things like bathing your pets frequently with non-toxic shampoos, washing your clothing, washing your bedding, especially your pillowcase. Make sure you're changing that frequently so that you're not constantly breathing in what's on your pillowcase that's causing a problem. You want to dry your clothing indoors. As much as we love to hang our clothes out on the line during this nice springtime weather and air out our sheets, if you suffer from seasonal allergies and there's a higher pollen count, you want to dry your sheets and bedding and things like that inside. You can also use a saline nasal rinse, and that will help support your nose's natural defenses of trying to rinse that out. So again, you're trying to remove the causative factor, being that pollen or other things that might be causing your nose to have those symptoms. Another thing that can help is eliminating toxins. And by toxins, you might not even be thinking about these things as being potential issues, but things like aerosol air fresheners, plug-in air fresheners, those are generally not natural products. So they can cause issues with your hormones. They can actually be something called endocrine disruptors, and that adds extra stress to your body. It especially adds extra stress to your respiratory system because you're breathing that in and can cause inflammation in your airway. And when your airway is already inflamed, it has a hard time reacting appropriately to allergens. Other things like powders. Powders are actually not even recommended for people to be using because they become airborne and you're going to breathe them in. It can cause definite problems with airways. If anybody in your home has asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, emphysema, things like that, get rid of the powders. Just throw them away. You don't need them. Things like sprays, might be even a spray cleaner. They're usually filled with things that you're not supposed to breathe in or absorb even through your skin because they cause problems with your hormones again. And bleach. Bleach tends to be pretty caustic to your airway as well. In fact, please don't use bleach without a properly ventilated area, and never mix cleaning products like bleach with anything else because it can actually cause death and severe airway restriction. So keep those all put away if you do have them in your home and avoid using them. Another thing that you can do is reduce stress. Now, we think of stress as, maybe work stress or, when you're emotionally exhausted, but there's a few kinds of stress. So there's mechanical stress on your body, like if you break a bone or you're out of alignment, or you have a cut or something like that, that's mechanical stress. And we definitely want to reduce that. So things like going to a chiropractor, seeking physical therapy if you have weaknesses in your area, a certain joint or muscle group. Also seeing your doctor regularly if you have certain pain or inflammation, redness, swelling, you definitely want to get that addressed. We did talk about emotional stress a bit. And emotional stress can actually cause illness. Everything plays together in your body. And you can't separate one kind of stress and say that it doesn't affect you physically, because it does. So emotional stress is very important to deal with. And again, if you can't remove the emotional stress, you need to counteract it. Anything that causes increased stress in your body requires increased nutrition, and your body creates increased waste. So you need to compensate for that. You need to make sure that you're able to keep your detoxification pathways open. Nutritional stress is another big one. And many people, when they're under emotional stress, eat more sugar and more things that are not beneficial to your body. And that increases the structural stress on your body. So nutritional stress, like eating a lot of candy, eating a lot of simple carbohydrates, that adds stress to your system. Now, there are other kinds of nutritional stress. If you're following a very restrictive diet, that can be nutritional stress. If you aren't able to obtain certain kinds of foods. I know in Wisconsin, it can be a little more difficult to get fresh vegetables during the winter months. Now that we're heading into spring and summer, it's a little bit easier, especially to grow your own. But in that same respect, we have grocery stores and we're able to access a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits and things like that throughout the year. So encourage you to reduce that load of sugar on your system. Make sure you're able to digest, absorb, and eliminate appropriately. And if you are noticing that you're having symptoms like heartburn, indigestion, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea, you definitely want to give Aloe a call, because we can help you to overcome those symptoms naturally. It's what we do. So, allergies. Can't eliminate the allergens or the causes of those symptoms, so sometimes you need to wage a counterattack. Local honey can be really helpful, and the reason for this is that bees that create that local honey are using the pollen from local plants. Those same plants are the ones that create the pollen that makes us have those symptoms. So by ingesting local honey, in a sense, you're getting your immune system used to that pollen, used to that little piece of something that can cause that symptom. It's like microdosing in a way, and immunotherapy in a way, but it can be very effective. Apple cider vinegar can help with digestion. Again, this is not a cure-all for by any means, but apple cider vinegar can help, prime the digestive system. Now, if you get burning sensations in your throat or your stomach after taking some apple cider vinegar, then again, we need to talk, because you have something else going on that we need to address to keep that mucosal lining in good shape. So that's another indicator to give us a call and have a discussion with your healthcare provider. Homeopathy. So homeopathy is like treating like. So in that same sense as we talked about with the local honey, homeopathy introduces little micro doses of the items that could be causing a little bit of a response for you. Now, by all means, this should not be used without consulting with your doctor or your pharmacist. And it should not be used for allergies that are severe, that are causing restriction in your airway, because that needs more attention and it needs the guidance of a trusted health professional. Here at Aloe Health, we do have some homeopathic remedies that can be used to help counteract some of that allergy response, as long as it's not severe. A couple products that come to mind are Allercord A and Sinus Tone. You can also use antihistamines as a last resort and short-term only. Again, antihistamines are very powerful medications that stop the histamine response from happening. And in cases where there is sudden swelling, antihistamines are definitely indicated. You can get them over the counter. You can also get them prescription strength by discussing that with your healthcare provider. Again, antihistamines should be a short-term use only. The reason for this is antihistamines don't only stop the histamine response, they also decrease the amount of hydrochloric acid that your stomach creates for digestion. And when we interrupt normal digestion, we're going to interrupt your body's ability to absorb nutrients from your food. Specifically, you're going to have a hard time digesting and absorbing protein, and protein helps you build and repair. And so if you're not able to build and repair, your body isn't going to be able to recover from things like injuries or increased stress. So overall support, decrease your sugar intake. That's going to be a big one. Now, sometimes your body doesn't digest sugars the right way, and that makes you crave more sugars. That's just a vicious cycle. So again, if you're having a lot of cravings for sugars or simple carbohydrates, we need to have a talk. Sometimes eliminating dairy is beneficial during times of allergy onset. The reason for this is dairy can sometimes cause added mucus to be created in your digestive system and in your airway. So you might notice after you have something with dairy in it, you have a little bit of more phlegm, you have to clear your throat a little bit more. Those are symptoms that you're not really digesting it quite well. Again, another reason to give Alo a call. But you want to avoid having that really thick mucus that you can grow bacteria in, because if you start to run a fever, you definitely want to talk to your doctor about a potential bacterial infection. So eliminating dairy can help decrease that mucus production, can also help with making sure you don't develop an infection from having that added mucus during a time of increased stress. There are ways to counteract the difficulty with digesting dairy, and again, we'd love to talk to you about that. Of course, when you're under more stress from allergens or other things that are going on, you may feel a little bit run down. So it's important to get appropriate rest. And on average, 8 hours of sleep a night. Everybody's a little bit different, so that might be more or less for you. But if you're feeling tired, your body's telling you something. You need to give it rest. So again, supporting healthy function, making sure that you're eating really good, nutritious food, adequate amounts of protein, really good number of vegetables. I say minimum of 3 servings of vegetables a day, aim for a high 5, and more is always a bonus. If you are having, issues with digestion, taking a digestive enzyme will help pre-digest food and get nutrients past a stressed out digestive system. Again, that's what we specialize in here at Alo Health. Another thing for overall support goes back to that mechanical part. And if you have part of your spine out of alignment, your body's not going to work quite the right way. So I encourage regular chiropractic visits. Again, if you need physical therapy, definitely seek that assistance out. Regular exercise and movement is really helpful for your entire system. And if you have further questions about ways that you can overcome seasonal allergies or any chronic health condition, we would love to talk to you. So just ask Alo. You can follow us on Facebook. You can email us info@alohealthllc.com. Request our newsletter. We'd love to send that out to you, usually about once a month. And that contains valuable information about ways that you can eat better for your health and support your system and your body naturally. We'd like to offer you a limited time offer. So if you contact Alo by Friday, May 21st at noon, and you can schedule a free phone consult, you can schedule a quick Cyto or a signature consult. We'll provide $10 off of the quick Cyto service, $25 off of a signature consult. All you have to do is mention Appleton Parks and Rec when you give us a call or send us an email to schedule. Again, that appointment doesn't have to be held prior to May 21st. Just give us a contact either at info@alohealthllc.com or give us a phone call at 920-221-3444. Mention Appleton Parks and Rec, and we will make sure to give you that offer. I really, really appreciate the time that you spent with me here this evening. And if you have questions, concerns, there's something that you want to discuss about your own health or your own like child's health or something, we would love to have that free conversation.